Welcome to the second edition of News Blast. My name is Hayes and we have a bunch of action to cover, so let's jump straight in. After the first two weekends of the opening qualifier, things are fairly close to completion, with 3 of the 8 spots already populated by Cairo City G's, Seika and Overdraw, who have run away with unassailable leads. Both Cairo City G's and Seika have actually gone undefeated up until this point. However, that's going to be changing for one of these teams after this coming weekend's action, as they are going to be playing against each other. In the middle of the pack, we have Team No Strats, Team Occupy and Pharaohs, who have all accumulated 12 points and are in strong contention to reach the closed qualifier. Pharaohs in particular were very impressive, as they were able to turn their campaign around from the first weekend to the second with a flawless set of matches, winning all 3 of their games in the second weekend and elevating their position on the table. Unfortunately, as for our friends Waffle Makers, they have been burnt out of the competition and they're going to have to shift their focus to the next opening qualifier if they're going to stand a chance of reaching that next stage of the competition. As for Algamden and Gamers Blast, they're going to have to certainly bring their A game in the next weekend if they're going to want to get themselves in contention for the closed qualifier. Normally next we would talk about North Africa, however, because of the structure of their tournament, they had a bye this past weekend and they'll be coming in hot with this weekend's action, and we'll cover all of that with the next edition of News Blast. Shifting things across to South Africa, after the first weekend, only Bravado Gaming were able to add their name to the list of teams that have qualified for the next stage of the competition, leaving 7 of the 8 spots up for grabs coming into this weekend. One of those spots was grabbed by the recently acquired Goliath Gaming roster. Goliath Gaming breezed through their opening games before coming up against who should have been their first stiff competition in Vibin. However, they were able to easily overcome them as well, beating them 16-6. After starting on the CT side, Goliath Gaming dominated proceedings and were able to secure themselves 12 rounds in the first half and went on to swiftly conclude proceedings in the second, securing themselves that spot in the next stage in the competition. It was largely down to EXE and the relatively unknown prospect and recent addition Slash that did most of the heavy hitting, with both players accumulating in excess of 20 frags. As for Vibin, they now find themselves as the strongest team in the lower bracket and will certainly back themselves to make the necessary run to reach the next leg of the competition. Another team who were able to kickstart their campaign this past weekend were the legends from Damage Control, who won their opening 2 games but were then relegated to the lower bracket at the hands of Vibin. Next up is Nigeria. Because this was the first week of their opening qualifier, we're playing some catch up with the region. However, one team that isn't playing catch up is Outlaws. They were able to rule the roost in their opening games, winning their first match 16-1 against Epic Bot and 16-4 against Cruise Gaming. Epic Bot suffered another loss, this time at the hands of Ghetto Militants, leaving their qualification campaign in strife. At the time of recording, only a portion of the games in Nigeria's opening qualifier had been played, and we'll be sure to catch up with the rest of their action in the following News Blast. We're reaching the business end with the first opening qualifier, so be sure to catch next week's News Blast to keep up with all of the action. And remember that the second opening qualifiers registrations have opened, and you can head to intelafricamasters.com to get your team involved.